Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, and if there is a bit of flimmer, if there is a bit of noise going around here because I just watched my video backwards and I saw that there was. That is because it's too bright outside. One of the downsides of having snow, so I have to have the lamp really strong in my face, and I don't think it actually works. Well, you know, you gotta do some sacrifices, make some sacrifices if you want something, am I right? And why am I saying that I watched my video backwards, and yet here I am again, recording it again? Well, because there is this amazing little button on the soundboard called the 48 volts. That makes the microphone actually work. You need some phantom power to actually get it going. Did I click on that? No, I didn't. I sat for 15 minutes talking, and I was really happy about it, and I was like, this is like a one-hit wonder. This is really good. This is amazing. This is great. And I know that I'm always saying that when I'm like taking away a clip, but that's because you can check me anyway. I can say whatever I want. It was probably award-winning. I mean, the Oscars would have been proud to have what I just did. And now it's only going to go downhill from here. No, but seriously, I recorded it and I was just like... Anyway, what I was spending the entire time talking about was, and it's kind of obvious because it's the elephant in the room, and that is the new intro. Yes, the new introduction. And I was sitting and talking about that. I'm so smug. I'm so happy. And I basically, spent 15 minutes just talking about how happy I am that I've made that animation myself. Those 4 seconds, by the way, I was gonna say 4 minutes, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Those 4 seconds, guess how long it took me to animate those? I'm gonna give you a 5-second, to think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5, what a coincidence. It took me about 4.5 hours. About 5 hours, depending on how you see it. If you think about when I went to like bathroom breaks and stuff like that, it took me 5 hours to record that. Or to do that, to animate that. It took me more than an hour per second. And I'm gonna say like, well, yes, you're right. Most of you will have heard me say that I am not that technically inclined. I'm not that good when it comes to technology. I am not. And I'm not saying that I am. It's just that 5 hours? Really? I've seen all of these like different animation studios, or all of these different animation, YouTube channels out there, and they're like, well, it takes me about 20 minutes to do the equivalent amount of work, and they put out so many animated things, and here I am sitting is like, problems. Anyway, so that was basically what it was all about. So now I need to recap all of them things. And since I'm doing raw videos, I need to remember all of the things I just came up with 15 minutes ago. And that might sound really easy, but it's not. Okay, so what I was basically going through is that I've had the same low quality introduction for days. I mean, for months since I started. I'm just gonna point out this, by the way, before we continue. I have a bit of a phone meeting I'm going to, attend between, 1 and 3. And now it's 10 past 2, and I was so happy that I managed to get through what I was doing, get through the recording before the person called. And now I need to risk it all again, risk it for the biscuit. Am I right, people? Am I right? Anyway, just gonna remember what I talked about last video and what I'm talking about now. Last video. No, I meant last recording that was dead silent. Anyway, what I was talking about is that I've been having the same low quality intro forever. Basically, right? From the day I started, I think, or really early on at least, until, yesterday, I've had this low quality 360p intro. And it sucks. It's so irritating. Every time I'm looking at a video and I'm like, that's quite good. I think I might actually show this to someone because I think that it's kind of good. I'm kind of happy how it turned out. I'm proud. I'm that proud that I can actually show this to someone else. And then I just watch it from the beginning and I see the low quality intro and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wait for a while. Anyway, so the entire idea here was that I've been thinking for a while that I want to do an animated intro. I have sort of an idea what the kind of animation that I want to do is. And not only that, as I said, I want to have a high quality intro. So I downloaded Adobe Animation CC. By the way, really good program for beginners, probably for pros as well. But even for me, who was like new on the subject, I was kind of happy about how it all worked out, how it all turned out. It was so easy to use, and I was looking at the tutorial at Adobe's homepage, and I totally recommend it if you're going to start moving into animation, because it was really easy to follow, and they were, well, what should we say? They really catered to the beginners. I've been working in Photoshop, right? And I had some ideas that, oh, you can convert things to shapes in Photoshop. And maybe if you have them on different layers, you can implement them into Adobe Animation, and they will be recognized at different shapes so you can animate them. Maybe. Maybe not, because they were using Illustrator, and maybe that's 10 times easier, but I've never used Illustrator, so I'm still gonna go and try for Photoshop, trial and error, and fail, and see if it works. Anyway. Because what we're talking about in that video, since I've been working with Photoshop, and I've been working a bit with Premiere, right? Not much, but a bit. They were talking about so much fundamental things that it hurt me. I was sitting there thinking that I am the beginner's beginner in this program. I've never touched this program before. I never even knew it existed until like yesterday. And then I sat there and looked at the introduction, and they were, first of all, talking, well, I wouldn't say slow, because that doesn't have to do with the information at all. That now does it. But they were talking, oh, the pure amount of information that was transmitted was like, if you have never touched a computer before, this is kind of, you know, the tutorial for you. That's how it felt, in my opinion. It really felt like, you're an idiot. You probably don't know how a computer works. Now I'm gonna show you from the basic level to get something to move. Now, I'm not at all having a problem with that, because it turns out I went back to the tutorial when I thought I knew everything, and I needed a tutorial. So it was a really good tutorial, and I really recommend it. Even if you're gonna sit there and be like, this is obvious, this is easy, because I thought that as well. And then when you go through making all the steps by yourself, you're like, wait a minute. What did I do now? Where was that button again? And I actually didn't download, as they said that you could, and follow in your own program with the tutorial. I didn't do that because I was like, huh, not gonna do it anyway. Am I right, people? Anyway. But that was a big thing, that I wanted to have a high quality, well, introduction. And a big problem with that, or with this, is that when I exported it, when I was done with it, right? When I'd sat there for like 5 hours, 4.5, 5 hours, whatever. You know, who cares about time, am I right? But I was actually including deleting my entire thing when I was almost done by mistake. I like closing it down without saving. Because when I closed it down, it said like, do you want to save? Yes or no? And I just read that as, you sure you want to close it down? Yes or no? And I was like, no, I don't want to close it down. And it was like, okay, you don't want to save it. And I was like, no! Yeah, routinely saved, that's all I'm saying. I did that on my second go, and it turned out great. But as I was saying, I was sitting there, and I was exporting my file, and I was happy about it. And I watched it, and I was all good in the movie, and then I put it into iMovie, because that's still my editing software. I haven't moved over to Premiere just yet. And I was sitting there and realizing that, how do I say this? I put it into full screen, and it was like 420p. Yeah. That was a really bad feeling. Me being sitting there, spending like 5 hours trying to make an intro, and exporting it, being really happy with it, and then seeing it and being like, yeah, this wasn't what I was going for. I mean, it's still better than the previous one, but what is this? I mean, really? So that was a bit of a problem for me. But anyway, I'm just gonna mention this, that it was a really easy fix, and I'm promising you, this is not a sponsored video, even though I'm praising Adobe Animation, because I'm finally finding an animation project, like program or software that I actually can work with and I can use, which is awesome, because I have so many ideas. You know, when you're sitting there, you get so many ideas of what you want to do. You're like, I'm gonna become an animation channel right now, and then you realize I will only put out like one video per half a year, because that's probably how long it will take for me to do them. And then just coming up with all of them ideas, and we'll see. You know, a founder's problem. If I can put in the time, I probably do it. Anyway, yet again, this is not a sponsored video, but I was, well, not happy with the results of my, well, of the resolution. So I went back into the project, and there is a scaling option. Of course, this dude in the tutorial mentioned it, but I was sitting there thinking like, ha, what kind of an idiot is doing that? Why do you need that? Why don't you just put the right aspect ratio at the beginning? And then it turns out that I did the same thing, which pissed me off. Anyway, so I went back in, used the scaling option, which worked splendidly because I had been doing everything, well, almost everything inside Adobe Animation, except for the background that I did in Photoshop. So everything scaled so nicely. I was the 5 when he like do that with the 5, or I don't know what animation sound I used. That was a bit off, but I fixed that pretty quickly. It took like 2 minutes to fix. It was really small it kept the aspect ratio, but then it got big again. So that was all good. It was all amazing. Then I exported it. It was in 1980 times 1080p, and it was all good. And then I put it into iMovie, yet again, still my software of choice at this point in time. And I put in all of the audio. And then I was exporting that video because I was thinking, oh, if I make an intro video with all of the noise in it, or all of the sound in it, I mean, let's say audio, okay? That's probably the best word to use. I made a intro video specifically with the audio and the animation in it, so the visual and the audio, exported that, and it turns out I can only export it in 720p from iMovie. So I'm probably going to need to redo all of this again when I get into Premiere and start using that. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is even worse, because since I exported it in 720p, the quality obviously got diminished. So that's one step of diminishing the quality. And now I need to put it into my new video that I'm gonna make and render that, and that might diminish the quality again. So I'm just gonna say, if the intro isn't in at least 720p, just believe me, for me, when I watched it, it's 1080, right? For me, on my computer, it's 1080. We'll see how it turns out once I upload it to YouTube, how it will be. Maybe it's just 360 and I'm sitting there and being like, I need to change the Premiere now because this doesn't work. I can't utilize what I've been doing. But yeah, all them problems. But just so that you know, if you stuck around for this long, well, that's just, a heads up about the intro that you saw for about 12 minutes ago. Anyway. I'm quite happy with it, if you couldn't tell. I'm quite smug. I'm going to start sketching on an outro as well, because I want an outro. Why? Well, because I want an outro. Do I need a reason? No, well, I want an animated outro as well, kind of with the same theme, with the same character, because I really like the character that I made. I'm quite happy about it. I can't say it in any other way. I'm smug, right? I'm smug, happy, and I'm allowed. It took 5 hours for those 4 seconds. Well, yeah, that's right, Philip. Just diminish your work. Just say how long it took and how little you performed. Anyway, that was everything for me today, mates. I'm probably not going to take up a new project tomorrow. Probably going to start with something else, since we have the Saturday news recap on Saturday, and I don't want to start with a new project just to break it the day after, because that has happened before. So we're going to do something tomorrow. I have many different topics to talk about, so don't worry. And then Saturday night news recap, and then I'm probably going to start on a new project, which I'm calling the Founder's Problem, and that's going to be broken up into many different segments. Because I like working with projects. It's so easy for me to schedule my time when I'm thinking like, oh, I have the next 20 days done. Set for. I'm just gonna, actually record it, talk about it, think about it, come up with new perspectives, and read about it, and make the background research. You know what? It's not easy at all. What am I talking about? At least I know kind of which direction I'm going at. But it's like if you have shot with a shotgun in a direction, but you needed to do it with a sniper. That's how it feels like. I know kind of I'm going in this direction, but now I need to do this, and that's the hard part, objectively. Objectively, I think that is the hard part for most people, but I think for me it will be easier. Anyway, mates, have a nice one. I've been rambling on for way too long about a 4-second video. Yet again, minute. I'm trying to give me all the credit, right? I've been rambling on long enough for a 4-second video, or about the 4-second video in the beginning that you saw for yet again 14.5 minutes ago. Anyway, see you, mates, and yeah, see you tomorrow.